I want to make another video about deontology here, but it's going to be discussing the last few things I talked about, and it's going to be kind of discussing common sense morality, but it's going to be mostly about the Kant's categorical imperative. Now I have 3 videos, which I have 3 videos. Each one discusses each formula of the categorical imperative into a little bit more depth. Those are in the description below. And but I want to discuss the 3 formulas and talk about how those are deontological, how those are an extremely restricting in a very obligatory thing here. This is a code that that creates a lot of constraints, and it creates a lot of duties to the agent. Now the first one I have it written down so I don't butcher it. The first one is the formula of universal law. Act only according to that maxim, whereby you can at the same time will that it should become universal law. So this is here. Well, you need to act so that your reason for acting, your maxim, can become universal law. Now, Kant talks about lying and stealing in the. He talks about lying in the groundwork. Now, let's say you're lying. Let's say you encounter a person at work who got the shittiest haircut ever. Her haircut looks like looks like she got a haircut from a chainsaw. But you say, you have nice hair. You have beautiful hair. Looks very nice today. Would you will that just lying in general, or lying to this person, would you will that that lying would be a universal law? Of course not. This is a logical contradiction. Now Kant says that if you ever come into a logical contradiction in your discussion in your thought about morals and the categorical imperative, if you run into any contradictions, that means that this is not worthy of doing. Now you cannot will that lying for any reason can become universal law. You cannot will that. This is a restraint. The whole universal law thing creates a lot of constraints. It means you can't steal. It means you can't lie. I mean, Kant says that you cannot ever lie, regardless if it makes someone feel better or not. You can't ever lie. Now, I really love this. I love the categorical imperative so much, but this I feel is too strong. It's way too strong because I think there are times when you should lie. Now that seemed weird, but if someone did have the shittiest haircut ever, look like they got the haircut from a chainsaw, and this person asked me what I thought of their haircut, I would say it looks very nice, because I want that person to feel good, even though their hair looks like shit. They deserve my respect. They deserve me to respect them. They deserve niceness, and I think that's a little bit too much there. But my opinions aside, let's continue here. Formula number 2, the formula of humanity. Act in such a way that act in such a way that you treat humanity, whether in your own whether in your own person or in the person of any other, never merely as a means to an end, but always at the same time as an end. So, and by end he means purpose. So we're keeping humanity here as an end, as a purpose for your actions. The harmony of humanity together. Now Kant says that with the universal law thing and the humanity as your ends. Then you have what is called perfect duty. And I totally agree with the second formula. I see no contradiction of this formula at all. I see no reason why this can be contradicted at all. I think he talks about um, harmonizing humanity. You're using everything as humanity as your ends. The third one of legislating a kingdom of ends. Therefore, every rational being must act as if he was, through his maxim, always legislating a kingdom of ends, a universal kingdom of ends. Sorry, my handwriting was bad here. So basically what we're doing here is not only is humanity as an end, but we need to, using the whole thing about humanity with creating this whole thing about humanity, when we need to figure out what humanity wants. And this kind of comes back to the whole common sense morality here, because we're talking about what humanity wants as a majority, as a whole. We need to figure out what those are and legislate a kingdom of ends, a kingdom of purposes for our actions. Now, this is also no. You really can't really can't justify any desires here, but these need to be your desires. Now, I agree with the last two. This is the number 2 and 3, 100%. But I think the first one is a little bit too strong. But if you can think about this, if you actually applied this to your life, how constraining this would be, how difficult it would be to actually do this. Now, I would think to actually get an idea of what this would be like, you would have to have a larger group do this, rather than just one person. To actually get an idea, I think if we had a group of people who sort of did this together, then we could kind of use humanity as our ends and legislate, this kingdom of ends based on what we all need. I'm talking maybe like 50 people, as if this could ever happen. But I want to think about this. Think about common sense morality, and this categorical imperative. Think about these two things. Isn't this what we all should have been doing the whole time? This is the whole thing about common sense morality. It's a dumbed down version of the categorical imperative, and it's a way decreased version of the categorical imperative. But this is just one big example of deontology. This is a nice cohesive deontological theory, which is perfectly applicable. But I don't know. I just wanted to think about this as. I would love it if we could install this as a societal moral code, if it's possible. But again, anything that is logically contradictory is wrong. So these are just kind of a good way to think about deontology. Now, think about this, and think about consequentialism. Think about keeping the good as certain outcomes. What do you think is better for the world? What do you think is better? Do you think it's better to have your own desires, whatever those may be, as your ends? Or do you think it's better to think about the universe, think about universal law when you're doing things, think about humanity, and thinking about the the means of everyone else other than just yourself. I don't know. It's just a thought, and then this kind of makes me think about good, the good and the right again, like I did in the previous video. Um, if this if this is, I think this is, I mean, even this is even more good and more right than common sense morality. Common sense morality is just like I said in the previous video. It's just what we all agree upon that to be the way we should interact with each other. It's all what we agree upon. Now I think this is ultimately good, and I think this further makes the good less abstract. It makes the right less abstract. I can put my finger on it by placing this deontological moral theory as the good. Now I can't see how any other moral theory can be the good or the right. Now I can kind of understand how feminists feminists and relational ethics can be like that. If there's a second one, I would kind of think about virtue ethics, but still, because I think that has a really good point. The virtue ethics is a really good thing to offer. I mean, it's a really good thing to discuss, but and also once I get past the whole deontology thing, then I'm going to definitely jump into virtue ethics here. But can you think about any of them that is better? Anything that is better? Any normative code that is better? If you can think about any other normative code that is better, please state that below, because I would like to have a debate with you about this, because I don't see any other thing that is good, any other theory that is more good than this. Thank you.